The Curse of the Corpse Thief, a Silver Pines mystery. Shadows over Silver Pines. Silver Pines was a postcard-perfect town, charming cottages, cobblestone streets, and the dense evergreen forest that gave it its name. But beneath its serene facade lurked a darkness no one dared to confront. In the past 6 months, 4 bodies had vanished, stolen during or shortly after funerals. Rumors of grave robbers evolved into whispered tales of supernatural forces. Families began hiring guards to watch over their dead, yet the disappearances continued. The town grew quiet and paranoid. Even the most skeptical residents locked their doors at sundown. Evelyn Carter, an ambitious investigative journalist, heard about the disappearances in a brief article buried in the back pages of a local paper. With a nose for the uncanny and a hunger for her next big story, Evelyn decided to investigate. A mystery this bizarre had the potential to launch her career to national fame, or so she hoped. A town suspicious of outsiders. The moment Evelyn arrived, she felt unwelcome. Silver Pines wasn't the kind of town that embraced strangers. Conversation stopped when she walked into the general store, and the owner gave curt responses to her questions. The unease of the townsfolk wasn't just fear of the corpse thief, it was the fear of someone uncovering a truth they had long buried. At the church where most of the funerals had taken place, Evelyn met Father William, a man whose presence seemed both commanding and sorrowful. When she asked him about the missing bodies, he avoided her gaze. "This town has its share of tragedies," he said, voice heavy with resignation. "Some things are best left in the hands of God, Miss Carter. Digging into darkness only pulls it closer to you." As cryptic as his words were, Evelyn sensed he was hiding more than grief. She noticed a strange symbol carved into the wooden lectern, a circle enclosing an eye, encircled by faintly burned etchings of Latin text. The tavern's keeper of secrets. Evelyn found more talkative company at the town's only bar, a cozy yet dimly lit place frequented by locals. It was here that she met Martha, a sharp-tongued older woman who seemed unafraid of the whispers surrounding the disappearances. "You're looking for the corpse thief, aren't you?" Martha asked, her voice carrying both curiosity and warning. Evelyn leaned closer. "What do you know?" Martha hesitated, then lowered her voice. "The bodies aren't just stolen, they're taken to the Blackwell estate. That's where all this started." Victor Blackwell. Evelyn had read about him during her preliminary research. Once a renowned doctor, Victor had moved to Silver Pines after the sudden death of his wife, Amelia, years ago. He had lived in near total isolation since. Martha explained that Victor had been seen wandering the woods late at night, always carrying something heavy. "The man's unhinged," she said. "The kind of grief that breaks a person. But if you're smart, you'll leave it alone. Silver Pines isn't kind to outsiders who dig too deep." The mansion on the hill. Evelyn couldn't ignore the lead. The next day, she set out for the Blackwell estate. The path to the mansion wound through dense woods, the air thick with mist and the faint scent of decay. The house itself was a gothic monstrosity, weathered stone walls, ivy crawling over shattered windows, and a wrought iron gate that groaned like a wounded animal when she pushed it open. Victor himself answered the door, his gaunt frame and piercing gray eyes making him seem more specter than man. "Miss Carter," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "I assume you've come to ask questions about the bodies." Evelyn blinked, startled. "How did you?" "Word travels fast in Silver Pines," Victor interrupted, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. "Come in, but don't expect answers you'll like." Inside, the mansion was both a relic of grandeur and a tomb of despair. Dust coated every surface, and the air reeked of chemicals. In the parlor, Evelyn noticed an array of strange equipment, beakers, coils, and machinery that looked like it belonged in a mad scientist's lab. Victor caught her staring. "Amelia," he said softly, gesturing to a portrait of a beautiful woman above the fireplace. "She's the reason for everything." A chilling discovery. Later that night, Evelyn returned to the mansion, this time determined to observe Victor without his knowledge. She hid near the edge of the woods and waited. Around midnight, she saw Victor emerge from the mansion, carrying what appeared to be a coffin. He moved with purpose, heading deeper into the forest. Evelyn followed at a safe distance, her heart pounding. The trail led to an abandoned chapel buried in the woods, its walls covered in vines and its stained glass windows shattered. Inside, Victor placed the coffin on an altar and began a bizarre ritual, chanting in a language Evelyn didn't recognize. Machinery in the room hummed to life, sparking with electricity. Through the cracked door, Evelyn saw the body in the coffin begin to twitch. She stifled a gasp as the corpse opened its eyes, only for Victor to recoil in horror. Whatever he had resurrected wasn't human, it was something far worse. The cult's dark legacy. Evelyn spent the following days uncovering the chapel's history. She found records in the town's library detailing its connection to a secretive cult that once thrived in Silver Pines. The cult had sought to conquer death, blending science and ancient rituals to reanimate the dead. Victor, it seemed, had revived their practices out of desperation to bring Amelia back. But his experiments were flawed. The bodies he resurrected were twisted abominations, their souls corrupted by the unnatural process. Even more disturbing was the revelation that Father William and other influential townsfolk had ties to the cult. They had helped Victor cover up the disappearances, fearing that exposing the truth would bring ruin to Silver Pines. Confrontation in the chapel. Evelyn knew she needed proof to expose Victor. She returned to the chapel one final time, armed with her recorder and a growing sense of dread. Inside, she found Victor preparing for another ritual. This time, the body on the altar was fresh, one of the recently stolen corpses. "Stop this madness," Evelyn yelled, stepping into the room. Victor turned, his face a mask of anguish and rage. "You don't understand. Amelia deserves to live. She was taken too soon. I'll fix it, I'll fix everything." Their confrontation escalated into chaos. Evelyn tried to destroy Victor's equipment, but he lunged at her. In the struggle, a vial of chemicals shattered, triggering an explosion that engulfed the chapel in flames. Evelyn barely escaped, but Victor and his experiments were consumed by the fire. The curse lives on. Back in Silver Pines, Evelyn presented her findings to the authorities, but her story was met with disbelief. The town seemed relieved to let the matter die with Victor, unwilling to confront the darkness that had festered in its heart for generations. Months later, Evelyn received an anonymous letter containing a photograph. It showed Victor, alive and standing in front of a new house in a distant town. Beneath the photograph was a single line. "Death is only the beginning. Amelia will return." Themes and reflections. This expanded version dives deeper into themes of grief, obsession, and the human desire to defy mortality. It explores the cost of tampering with the natural order and the ripple effects of collective silence in the face of evil. The open-ended conclusion leaves readers pondering whether Victor's pursuit of immortality is a cautionary tale, or the start of something even darker.